Hey guys, welcome back for part 2 of this video. So, we've got a little bit more time to now get into it a little bit. So I'll just explain. I've been doing the Endurance GT, the Forza Endurance GT lobby. Really enjoying it. It's really good. And one of the things that I like about it is I can use a car like this. I'll just go into it, the tuning, where it's basically a stock car, and I like that. I don't really. There's a lot of things about the Forza tuning that I don't like and I don't agree with. I like a racing car to be genuine. So you can see here, I'm using the stock brakes just for the aesthetics of it, and just because I don't agree. I find it kind of crazy that you can upgrade to race brakes, and somehow you've got these brakes that never fade and just even better than the top racing brakes used on a LMP1 car or whatever. How can the brakes be better or more efficient? I don't understand that. So for realism, I use stock brakes, and you're going to see in this video it's kind of it's hurting me a little bit. I don't know exactly lap time wise what the difference would be. I've not tried. I've got no I've got no will to sort of try that out, find that out, and to know. But I can see from watching back on this replay, I can see that it's under braking where I'm losing out. The advantage of not using race brakes is that I get to upgrade the rear tyre width, and again, I don't really like to change anything. It's like this is the only thing that makes it not stock. So everything else you can see, it's aesthetically, this is the wing that they would have on the 2014 Jaguar Le Mans car, and it's just as it is. I quite like delivery. I've gone for my own paint. I've just decided to have it just plain and just have a nice colour. I think it looks really great. It's just my opinion, but obviously that's not too genuine to the race car. But I just wanted something a little bit different, something that stood out, and I just think it looks really, really nice. So I've upgraded the rear tyres. I can use it without. It's got its advantages using without, it suits my style. I just really like the way that you can come out of a corner and just jump on the power, just put all that power down, just jump, just come out of the corner and just slam the power down, and it just propels you out of the corner. That's great. So that's and then there's the rims. Obviously I'm using the stock rim style. If you wanted race brakes, you'd have to lose the stock rims, and I'd just sooner have a stock looking car. So yeah, lap time wise, it might be making me a little bit slower. I mean, I don't do too bad, but I imagine it would be faster with the race brakes, but I don't really want to know. I'm not really interested. So then we get into the tuning side. I'll just quickly show you. I'm no master tuner by any means. I don't generally share my tunes anymore because I just appreciate the fact that there's people out there who are, there's tunes. But if you do like the ethos of my tuning, I know a lot of the faster tunes. If you want the fastest tunes, then there's other people out there that you need to sort of check out. I think offhand who would be good. Craviator, for example. His tune for this Jag is obviously far faster, much faster. It would be faster, but he probably has race brakes, I imagine. Probably uses race brakes. Probably, if he uses race brakes, then he definitely would have to have a different rim, an upgraded rim, a different rim. So if you like the rims on this car, which I do, just for that reason alone, if you're one of them kind of people, if you're a bit like me and you like the car to be like the car that's actually used and it to be more realistic, then this tune might appeal to you. But that's the only reason why it might. Obviously, it's just a warning that it's not going to be the fastest, but it's got an ethos to it, and I try and keep it. I don't have an extreme tuner. You'll see here, tires just regular, gearing long. I like long gears if you like that. If you like using traction control, again, it's probably the tune for you. But if you don't like using traction control, like they don't use in GT2, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you don't like using traction control, then this is good for you because it's got a really long first gear, very usable. You can come out of a hairpin, put the power down. Because it's such a long first gear, it's almost like most people's second gear, so it takes advantage of that. And you can have a longer sixth gear, which means, you know, higher up, you've got more in the power range, higher up, higher speeds. And then, yeah, so nothing too extreme, nothing too crazy here. You'll see a lot of people when they're tuning these kind of cars, for some reason they have some really, especially with the roll bars, this is just really ordinary. Ordinary again here. You know, a lot of people, they have really extreme tunes. They'll have full front aero, then hardly any rear, and then to make up for that, they'll do it all with the anti-roll bars with crazy settings. Like their anti-roll bars will be like full at the front and then nothing at the rear. I just think, you know, just have a nice balanced car, just like they would in real life. I imagine there's probably times where they would pull some of the rear air off to reduce drag at certain tracks, and I would do that too. But just for general lobby purposes, I've got a better way of, well, I've got a solution, my solution. So yeah, I'll just quickly show you my settings if you're interested. So gearing is like that. That'll take you right up to your top speed, no matter how much wing you're using. The anti-roll bars 28 and 20, springs 700s, 560. That's quite high because of when you're using a lot of downforce. I have a stiffer spring to you know, so the car's not bottoming out without reducing the without having to raise the ride height. That's my thinking behind that. Rebound stiffness quite high, not fully extreme but quite high. A lot of the tracks that come up in endurance are usually quite smooth, so that's the thinking behind that. Bump stiffness, I've brought that quite soft, quite low down. Something I've been trying, it seemed to work for me. Just for, you know, for your low speed chicanes, it just gives you a little bit of extra grip there. It just helps you put the power down and whatnot. Then we'll come to the aero in a second. I've got a solution behind that. Then, okay, diff settings 60 and 5. 5 is quite low for the rear. That's all to do with braking, straight line braking. There's a lot of straight line braking, say for example Sebring, tracks like that. And in these cars, I find, you know, carrying momentum, corner speed, that's one thing. Exit, that's important, but I think the way you gain the most is these big, coming from 180 down to 40, going into a hairpin, straight line braking, and you can really make some gains. You can pull in 200 feet just from having, you know, good braking, and the acceleration differential setting 60 just seems to have, you know, tried different. I've, you know, gone from about 50, gone up to maybe 85. I've been tried them, and 60 just seems to be a nice. This is just a lobby setting. You know, obviously if I were hot lapping a track, if I want to hot lap a track, then there would be I'd make changes. I'd have, like, for example, the camber would be, you know, maybe -2 for something like if there's long sweeping corners, like say for example Catalonia. I'd have maybe 2, things like that. But this is just general. It's a general tune, and I have 5 general tunes that I have saved and shared. And I think it's just a really good way of getting around it, because obviously usually when you're in a lobby and the track comes up, you find out what track you're going to. You've got about, if you're lucky, 30 seconds to choose a car or a tune. I use the same car all the time, but I just use different tunes. So this is my solution. It's really quick. I have 0% aero, 25, 50, 75 and 100, and everything else apart from the aero, everything's just basic, stays the same. So I've been using this one quite a lot. This 75% aero will get you around a lot of tracks nicely. I've got more shared because I think it's a good way of getting around it. You know, a lot of people don't do this. They have just one aero setting with the tunes. Like if you go to, you know, if you get somebody's tune, like a really good tuner, you know. But yeah, this is my solution. I think, you know, you can get yourself. It'll give you a second in hand at, you know, certain tracks. You know, like rather if you're using a full aero tune, a track like Daytona, you know, you'll be a second off the pace. So even though it's, you know, might not be the best tune, it saves some time. So you know, we'll look at we'll just go quickly, and I'll just, you know, tell you. Obviously, Mugello would be in there. I used 100% aero there. You could probably use 75 and be fine, you know, because it's got a long straight. But I like to be quick in the corners because I'm not the fastest out there, you know. So if you're a faster, you know, if you're somebody who's faster, then you're probably better off using less aero so you can overtake people down the straights. But I'm kind of not the best, so in the corners I want to be as fast as I can, so I'm not holding people up. That's my thinking. So let's just quickly go through. Right, so Brands Hatch, probably want 100%. Catalunya, probably 100. Daytona, I use 0. So I use 0% aero for that one. Hockenheim, I tend to use 75%. I've been using, you could probably use 50. Hockenheim's interesting because you can use pretty much any aerodynamic setup and still be just about as fast. I think it's pretty much, you know, you can either make up time in the corners or you can make time in the long straights. I prefer to have a more stable car. I use 75% aero, so it's a bit of a compromise, and just fine. Miami, I used, I think, 25% for most of the configurations. Le Mans, obviously it's going to be 0, no aero, completely 0. So if you go into that one, I'll just choose my 0 setting. Line Rot's going to be 100. Maples 100. Monza is going to be 0, no aero. It's completely 0 aero, and it works fine. Road America, I think I'll use about 25, maybe 50. 25, I'd say 25%. Just get used to using 25. Royal Lancer, surprisingly, it's got a long straight, but I use 100% aero, just because there's some really high speed corners there. Yeah, it's got some really high speed corners. Sebring, I go for 25%. Yeah, you can get away with probably 0 actually, but you know, it's just nice to have that little bit of extra stability, and there is some kind of high speed corners where you can make up ground using a little bit of wing, and it just makes the car easier to handle, and makes you a little bit quicker through the corners. If there's somebody fast behind you using 0 aero, you're not holding people up as much, and then, you know, there you go. Sonoma comes up quite a bit, that's 100%. Spa's a funny one. I'm not too sure. I'd say maybe 75, because obviously you come in down La Source, go up to Eau Rouge, you come out of Eau Rouge, Radion, onto the Camel Straight. You want to be carrying some speed onto that straight, but then it's a long straight, so you could probably make up some time at the end of the straight by using less up wing. Again, I just use my 75%. You could probably get away with using 75%, 50%. I use 75 a lot of the time, and it just does me fine. I like that tune probably the most. It's just a nice, you know, it feels easier to drive, more stable, balanced. Just works for me. Suzuka, yeah, I think I use my 75. Virginia, I tend to use 75, 100. A bit undecided with that, because obviously you've got the really fast high-speed chicanes where you can really make up some time, but if you get your line perfect, you could probably still take it flat with 75% aero. So yeah, that's something worth considering, and there is some long straights on that track. Watkins, obviously depending on the layout, if you're going with the The one without the chicane, the alternative version, I'd probably go 25-50. If you want to do the one with that has got the chicane and breaks up the long straight, you could probably get away with 75. You know, you're coming off of a really fast corner, so you can carry some more speed through that corner onto that straight. If you've got more aero, you're more likely to do that. But yeah, that's kind of going to wrap up the tuning side of things. So yeah, that's basically what I do. Yeah, because you don't get much time to, you know, change your setup. I have just 3 basic setups. I mean, you'll see here. I'll go into this one, and you know, you'll see. Select that one, and I'll just quickly show you. Everything else is exactly the same. So everything else stays the same, and it's just simple. Just everything else is exactly the same, but the wing 75%. It's simple as that. I've got 5 tunes. It'll do you for do you fine for most tracks. And here's the gearing I use. Like I say, nice long gears. That'll take you 5 miles an hour over your top speed with 0 aero. I've got it just right, set just right, so that if you're at Le Mans, the old Mulsanne straight Le Mans, if you get a slipstream off of somebody with a similar speed and you get your slipstream perfect, it'll take you right up to maybe 194 miles an hour. So it's geared that way, so you can actually take the top speed of the car by itself will be 190 on that straight. You get in a slipstream, and I've had it up to 194, and that's, you know, for overtaking people, you know, that's brilliant, especially in Forza. You know, slipstream in Forza, you know, it's quite weak. So, but yeah, it does work. Trust me, it works. When you're at Le Mans, you can get a bit of a slipstream. I think even at Daytona, I've managed to get a little bit of tow at Daytona even. But yeah, definitely at Le Mans, I have it set so when I'm at Le Mans, it just stays the same, and the gearing stays the same, whatever tune I use. But there's so much torque in this engine that you can actually get away with using the longer gears, even when you've got aero. Fifth gear, I like the fact that my 5th gear will probably take you right up. You barely ever use 6th. 5th gear is do you fine. I've worked it out. You know, say if you're at Hockenheim, or even at a lot of the straights at Monza, you only need your 5th gear. You don't need to be going up to 6th gear, apart from one part of Monza. Yeah, that 5th gear is really long, and I have it just so that I'm not using the 6th gear. I'll just take it right up to 5th gear, and it takes you right up to about 79,000 RPM, which is just right, maybe 78, which is just right. Say, so you come down to the end of the big long straight at Hockenheim ring, and you can hold it in 5th. I've tried having it with a short gear setup where you're using 6th, and it actually seems to be slightly slower, or if it is faster, it's marginal. I think you're absolutely fine to just leave it in 5th, right down that straight, rev it right out, and don't change gear, because even though the gear changes are really fast, the benefits that you get from changing gear and having the short gear ratios, being the power bar longer, doesn't outweigh that little small gear change. So holding it in 5th, I like to do that, and anytime I can, I'll just hold it in a gear. So that's why I like nice long gears for that. But yeah, that's it for this part. And the next part coming up, it'll just be, now that I've got that out of the way and explained about the race brakes, you'll see where I was losing out on this race, and I'm going to bring that now. So I'm just going to start this part 3. So